everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. I'm Maria, and today we are coming out to make a sweet treat. It's very minimal ingredients, very quick and easy to make, and it's fairly low cost as well. You just need a couple of apples and some puff pastry. Now you could make your own puff pastry. I get the store-bought. I'm not skilled enough just yet. I'm working on my baking skills on making dough for like puff pastries. So we're all always learning, right? So I'm gonna use the store-bought. I actually got a gluten-free one because I am gluten sensitive to that, and so that's, you know, the one I chose. But you could choose any one you like, just as long as it's a nice sheet of puff pastry for this recipe. So I do have my oven preheating to the manufacturer's recommendation for the puff pastry at 400 degrees. It's gonna go off. You'll hear the little ringling in a few minutes, I guess, whenever it finishes. I have just a regular kind of cupcake sheet. It's a 12 cupcakes in one pan. And I'm just going to spray it with some olive oil because we're going to stick our puff pastries inside, and I don't want them to stick when they come out. So just going to spray it and get that ready over there on the side. Now you can choose however you want to cut your apples. You want to core them first, of course, or you could core them. I mean, I guess you could do it either way. I like to core mine first if I can, and then you know, get all the seeds out and then make my cuts, and I'll show you why here in a minute. Now you also could use a mandolin for this recipe as well if you want, if you have a mandolin that you know, fits your apple size. I have one too, but I just wanted to show people that you could just use it with no fancy equipment, you know, whatsoever. I think I just bent my core. That'll work. And so I cut it this way, and you want to cut like slivers, right? So I'm going to cut it again into quarters, and then I'm just going to make, and you want to make it pretty thin, maybe about a quarter of an inch at most, because you're going to be rolling them up. So you really don't want them much more thicker than that kind of slice. And we're just going to work our way through the apples in that way. So, you know, this is something that I am willing fall to come sooner than later. This is a great dish to make for quick, like, kind of looks very pretty at the end. You're going to see they almost look like roses when they come out. And so it's a nice dish to make when you have like a party, a fall party especially. But right now, you know, apples are starting to really come into season, and so they're just super delicious. Now I'm using a Honeycrisp apple for this. I find that they bake really well, and their sweetness really comes through when they're cooked a little bit. But you can use, you know, whatever you have in your area. You know, I'm a big fan of what's in season by you in your area, because that usually lowers the cost, because if it's in season in your area, that means that the farmers are nearby, and the cost is going to be less because they don't have to ship it as far. And you know, and then in season fruits always taste better. I think they're usually more I'm going to show you the other way you can do this. So they're usually more you know, flavorful. So you just cut it the way I did, and then just cut the core out like that. So you could do it that way too if you don't have a core. Oh, there goes the oven, preheated. It's so nice, that oven, how it sings to me when it's ready. So yeah, so this is another easy way. Now you want to cut all the seeds out, obviously. You know, you're not going to want to bite into that anyways, but also the core of the apple is a little bit tough. It's usually a little bit more bitter. But also, fun fact, apple seeds have arsenic in them, which is a poison. So you want to avoid blending those up or cutting those into your, you know, dishes if you can help it. I used to have this, I learned that when I had this juicer way back when. Now I have a different one, but I had a specific one where you could literally just throw the entire fruit into the juicer and it would just juice it down completely, and it was awesome. And I was like, look at this apple, throw the whole thing in. And then my friend was like, you really shouldn't do that. And I was like, why? And then I learned that I might have been slowly poisoning myself, but hey, I'm here, I'm looking good. So you know, this, you know, obviously I think 2 apples is going to be sufficient. We'll see how far it gets us when we start rolling it up, because we're going to kind of overlap them a little bit to create like a floret design. But you just want to kind of cook them, you know, make them into these nice little strips. And then, like I said, you can make your own puff pastry at home. You do not have to get the store-bought one, but they are generally pretty cheap. You know, puff pastries, you can get them. They're usually in the freezer aisle, depending on which brand you get, because they like to be chilled, because it's dough, it's raw dough. So they're either frozen or chilled. And I've even had some people say that they've tried this recipe with biscuit dough. They try with biscuit dough. So I'm just going to start there for now. I think that's good at the moment, and then we could always come back and cut that later. And then I'm just going to have my puff pastry now. Obviously, I've defrosted this so that it's workable. And I'm going to leave it on the paper. And what you're going to do is you're going to trim this to be about 2 inches wide or so, because it's going to wrap around the apples. So you want to do 2-inch strips just like that, and like that, and like that. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. It's homemade, right? Things that are homemade are typically not perfect. And then we'll start here, and we're gonna put them like this. We're gonna kind of keep them up a little bit. About 2/3 of the apple you're gonna put inside the puff pastry, and then the other third is gonna be sticking out. And we're just gonna kind of overlap these like so. And this goes by pretty quickly, if you can tell. Okay, right there, just like that, till the end. Actually, we're going to leave a little bit out, and then we're just going to roll this up and kind of tuck it in. It's okay if the dough separates a little bit. This is gluten-free dough, so it does tend to separate. Oh, that's not so much my flour. I might have rolled it backwards. Let me try the other one, but that's okay. It'll still be good. And you're just going to place that into your cup like so. All right, let's do this one, and we'll roll it the other way. And put it this way here. Like I said, homemade, perfect. Doesn't have to be. You know, mistakes happen in the kitchen, but things still come out delicious. They're still yummy. Okay, so we'll go this way instead. And that's rolling a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Now also when it cooks and they soften up, you just want to kind of stuff it in there a little bit. When it softens up, it's gonna like open up in your dish also, and it'll be really pretty. Okay, and again, like this. Now, obviously, if you have a mandolin, the slices will be a little bit thinner. You know, they'll be a little bit more even, but, you know, either way, you just work with it. I go this way. Oh, no. I forgot which way I went now. Oh, oh no, they're coming apart. That's okay. Baking is one of those things that I love to do, but I enjoy cooking more. But also because baking, I feel like you focus on aesthetics a lot in that way. Oh, so it looks like 2 apples is actually going to get me with 1 pastry sheet here. So that's good. Oh, that's a small guy. We'll use up the big guys first. Okay. And we'll roll him up just like that. And then once this starts cooking, that's it. Like once this is done, put together and you put it in the oven, that's all you wrote, you know, because then it just cooks in whatever the manufacturer's guidelines are. Again, for the puff pastry, you want to follow that. So this one suggested 12 to 15 minutes. Actually, it gave different temperature or different lengths of time for different things. I'm going to treat this almost like a strudel because it has the fruit inside. And then, so they look like that, kind of sticking out in that way. Like I said, as it cooks, and you can kind of push these down a little bit to fit in. And if the dough is not completely surrounding, again, if you have regular puff pastry, it might, you know, come together a little bit better just because gluten-free tend to be a little bit more crumbly. But that's okay because that's what we are used to, I guess, if you're gluten sensitive like me. That's one of the things my husband hates about the gluten-free products that I make him try. I'm like, oh, this one's pretty good. And he's like, it crumbles. And I was like, I know, but it's still good. We're going to do 1/2 cup of sugar. And we're going to do a tablespoon of cinnamon. This is where I'm willing fall to come in, guys. Apples and cinnamon. Anytime I get to do that mix, forget about it. And pumpkin. I can't wait for pumpkin to come back into season. Anybody else love a pumpkin latte? This girl, right here. All right, I'm just going to blend it to where it's all mixed in together. You want that to be nice and cohesive. Because now we are just going to sprinkle it on top. And you want to put, you know, a decent amount on there because it's going to caramelize on that puff pastry and on the apples. And again, my oven is preheated to 400 degrees. I'm just going to do these half now because I'll cut up the other apple in a little bit, but I'm going to do these 5 and then put them in the oven so that we can see how they come out. All right. Okay, that looks good. And then we'll put these in the oven for the manufacturer's recommendation. Like they said, about 12 to 15 minutes. It may need a little bit more time depending on how it looks, but we'll take it from there. We'll put them in and then we'll come back. Okay, so our oven just went off. Going to look here. These look so nice and beautiful. And they're bubbly. Smells incredible. I'm just going to bring them back over to our station here. So the puff pastry, you can see, is really puffed up nicely around the edges here. The apples have softened. They've opened up. It looks like a little rosette kind of, right? So that's the goal. And it's like a pretty presentation. I'm just gonna take one of these guys out. See, it has its own like little caramel there. And just really beautiful, nice and soft. And you can serve these with this, oh, this is a guy, hot. With like a side of ice cream or something next to it. It's a really fun dessert, really fun for the kids, you know, they really like it. Normally you could just like pick it up and take a bite, but I'm just going to cut it because it's too hot to handle at the moment. And just open this up here. You're still going to have a little bit of crunch with the apple, but with the dough, nice and brown. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm really willing fall to come with this. It smells so good. It's really like a little apple strudel or an apple pie flavor that comes through with the puff pastry. It's just, you know, you really want to look for those brown edges. This was about 15 minutes. I did do for the manufacturer's recommendation. Again, depending on which puff pastry you have, depending on your oven, could take a little less, could take a little more. I did turn my light on to look at them around the 10-minute mark just to make sure like we weren't burning yet or like getting too dark. But yeah, I mean, this just came out so good. It's gonna be a great dessert to have later with my daughter and my husband. I know he's gonna love this. So I hope that you guys have a chance to make this. Again, very minimal ingredients, very easy to do, very low cost. So I hope you try it out in your home and you let me know how you like it. For more recipes like this, like and subscribe to my channel. We'll see you later.